Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on financial planning, presented by Olivia Allen, Financial Representative for the International Planning Alliance. She has spent over 12 years in the hospitality industry and recognizes the necessity for financial planning in the hospitality industry. Please ask your questions in the Q&A box, and Olivia will answer them towards the end of her presentation. Thank you, and welcome, Olivia.
Thanks, Shaw. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be with you today and to introduce a program that I'm really excited to bring to the hospitality industry. And just before I start, I want to say that I debated whether or not this is the right time to bring this conversation to the forefront of minds. But what I realized is that, this COVID has obviously presented quite a hardship for the hospitality industry, but it's also shined a bright light on just how unprepared a lot of individuals were. And it's times like these where I think big shifts occur in thinking. And so that's why ultimately I am before you today, because I think now is the time to plant the seeds. So with that said, I'll go ahead and start our presentation. And if you have any questions, please just hold them till the end and we'll do a little Q&A there. So the whole concept of Wealth Steps is not new, but it's a new approach that will allow you to offer bonus benefits to both your employees and yourself. To get us started, just a bit more about my background and my firm. So I come to you today as an NJRHA member, having spent 12 years in the hospitality industry in roles ranging from working the counter at a local pizza shop to managing a boutique hotel and fine dining restaurants and overseeing events at one of the world's most prestigious golf clubs. Now, during this time, I was on the front line and aware of the gap in benefits that our industry offers to employees and owners alike, mainly insurance, retirement, and general financial planning resources. And time again, I see the same misunderstandings around financial planning, that it's only for high net worth individuals, or that owners and employees in the hospitality industry are just not good candidates because of high turnover or fluctuating income or whatever the case may be. All of which I just know is simply untrue. That's why I've made it my mission to focus my practice on empowering the industry that reared me and to support the people who are, in my opinion, the true lifeblood of our communities. So I've combined my 12 years hospitality experience with a good bit of licensing and 30 plus years of financial services experience from my firm. So my firm is International Planning Alliance. They were founded in 1999 as the merger of three firms, a wealth management firm, an estate planning firm, and a group benefits firm. And today we're around 70 advisors, serving 24,000 clients nationwide. So today we're going to talk about issues, challenges, and maybe even problems that members face, and how the personal challenges that you and your employees deal with ripple over to performance and to the overall success of the business. We'll talk about tools and methods that are out there, and we'll wrap things up with the benefits that you can provide and how it will help not only you and the business, but your employees that you care so much about. So there's no doubt that people are struggling with their finances. This whirlwind of a year has brought this back to the forefront of the minds of many in America, and specifically in the hospitality industry. And the condition that people are finding themselves in is, financially, it's stressful and causes great difficulties in their homes, relationships, and in their jobs. So what if I were to pose the question to you, how do you feel about your personal financial future? Do you feel 100% sure and certain that things will play out over time as they should or as you need them to be? Or do you have doubts? People admittedly are in trouble with their money decisions. They say that financial issues, how they're handling money, and what their financial future looks like can be one of the biggest pressure points and sources of stress in their entire lives. And statistically, we know that people have saved poorly because they've been taught to save poorly. They just simply don't know what they don't know. And many of them have only set aside meager amounts so that when their working days end, their portfolio is not sufficient enough to provide for a comfortable lifestyle. And people are concerned and they're feeling behind. It's really across the board too. It's not something that's symptomatic through, it is something that's symptomatic through the ranks of your business, no matter how highly compensated or how new an employee happens to be. And this is exactly why I decided that now was the appropriate time, because of this slide here, where we're not having enough emergency savings for unexpected expenses. So this stress that we're talking about affects all areas of our lives. It's not just something that gets left in the parking lot when we leave our cars to start our shift. Money and long-term security concerns are affecting productivity and performance on the job. And you're probably asking how? Well, where it shows up can be 1, in the number of days out of work, 2, showing up to work on a 120 cover night, unable to focus or concentrate, and 3, just an overall stress as individuals that then in turn impacts their relationships as a group and their relationships as an employee to the employer. So whether it's saving for retirement or putting kids through college, or maybe their relationship with debt, all of these things add up to specific roadblocks that affect the performance and outlook of each employee when they show up every day. So here's what we know to be true, that individuals have natural aspirations in their lives. They want to be safe and secure. They want to know that they're making the right decisions at the right time with their money, and they want their hard-earned dollars to work for them. Yet the reality is that they're continually bombarded and surrounded by a host of conflicting financial voices that might be saying, do more of this or less of that. And whether it's savings, budgeting, insurance, or just, an overall game plan, people are confused and they feel lost and unsure as to what they should do and what the best next step is. And it leads to uncertainty around their future. But now many companies are actually stepping up. So they're starting to rally around their employees and being the catalyst for change by providing financial education programs to their teams. So companies are embracing their employees as human beings worth enriching on a personal level. They want it to work out for them, so they're jumping in and they're bringing experts and programs in to offer valuable benefits that allows everyone in the company individually to put all of the pieces of their financial life together. And they're entitled to know how, right? That's the basis of this conversation, is that the hospitality industry is just as entitled as any other. And it's not something that is just in the beginning stages. Many corporations and businesses have mobilized towards education for their staff. Now the hospitality industry is too. And that's why we're here together today, because it's our turn. And I think that it's your turn to be the hero. Imagine improved morale, an overall shift in confidence around the new financial journey that your team will experience, and how much stronger the relationships between your business and those who work there will be. So you might be wondering, if financial wellness is such a hot topic these days, and if so many people have such big concerns, then why are people sick financially? And what has caused them to end up here? And how do we get them to financial wellness? And we know that many of the old planning theories and philosophies have not worked. So what we do is something called Wealth Steps. And we know that people make severe mistakes in how they prioritize and give attention to their financial choices because they just don't know how. And many people are planning. Many people are also not planning for financial events that are years off into the future, while leaving themselves exposed to what might happen today or what did happen this year, realistically. And we've been taught not to save or to chase a rate of return that is out of reach for many. And people tie up their savings in ways that can't be accessed if, say, life shifts course. And if they need to it, they can't get it. And oftentimes, too, we see people dragging debt behind them while trying to build wealth, which brings pressure and stress around any debt decision that stifles any type of progress that should have been made. So what we want to create is the ability to move you and your employees to a better level of understanding and financial balance. And how we do this is a seamless method that teaches people how to become clearer and put them on a path that will ensure them a far better financial results. It's non-traditional and uncommon, but I trust that not only you, but all of your employees will immediately see a difference and the value that this offers for them. So take a minute here and look at all these issues that cause so much distraction and confusion for us all, really. They're things that bombard us, and the financial services industry is admittedly quite good at using them to capture attention. Yet, as people envision their financial futures, starting from today, how do they sift through all of these things? How does someone who works 40, 50, 60 hours a week on the line or in the front of the house possibly get it right? How do we assure ourselves that the financial steps are in order and moving in the most effective, powerful direction possible? Wealth Steps is very simple and clear financial game plan that, when implemented, results in financial benefit. So let's look at the steps here. The first one is protecting today's. So while everyone is always talking about college funding or retirement planning, budgeting, and yes, all of these things are part of the strategy, we say that a person's financial tomorrows should be considered only after the possibilities of their finances today are fully addressed. And one of the most common things that we see in the hospitality industry is huge holes in protection, right? An issue that I know is on the minds of many NJRHA board members. And one unexpected event could derail an entire game plan and could set up for financial disaster for a household or individual. So Wealth Step starts by making sure that your today's are properly protected first. So as people become better protected, doors open up for savings. And if I were to ask you, how much do you need for retirement? You might take a few seconds and say, here's my number. Well, I don't know, hypothetically, they'll say it's $1 million. So an average advisor might give you two choices. They'll say, if you want to assume a 5% rate of return on your dollars, you have to contribute $25,000 a year to hit the $1 million goal. And an alternative might be that if you want to assume 10% rate of return, you only have to save $7,000 a year to get to that same million. So what do we think that the average American chose? They choose the higher risk path that only makes them save $7,000 a year as opposed to $25,000. And effectively, they're chasing rate of return that's virtually unachievable for a lot of people, and they lose. And time has been the real cost there, the loss of time while moving in an inappropriate direction. So while what your employees will learn is that as they move through the Wealth Steps process, that the amount one saves is critically more important and powerful than chasing any rate of return that may not be achievable to begin with. So put simply, a high level of savings puts people in control, and that's how they see progress, and that's how stress is eliminated. Because you cannot fund a brokerage account, a 401k, life insurance, any of it, if you can't save. So now that we're saving more, where do we put all of that savings? So here we talk in terms of life, whether it's parent care, a natural disaster, a loss of a job, or college for children someday. There are a lot of things out there, either planned or unplanned, that require easy access to dollars. And do you know that most people we meet, so 90, 95% or more, have their financial nest egg tied up in a manner that they cannot get to it if they need to respond to an unexpected life event. Or, I guess I should say that they can get to it, but there are penalties in place. So I'm speaking mostly about a traditional IRA or 401k. Your employees will know the difference between liquidities and will understand how to move through time, having some of their nest egg being very liquid, but the other part being more long-term and secure in nature. So notice that we haven't mentioned debt yet, and debt is obviously a devastating financial state for all of us. It's kind of like this weight that we carry around and drag through life. With Wealth Steps, we put it in its appropriate further position because we say that family comes first. And your financial life and your cash flow are more important than paying back someone on a quick pay basis. So I know it might not be what you expect to hear, but we might coach people instead to slow down the pace at which they're paying back their short-term, low-interest rate debts so that their first three steps can build. So we have protection, savings, liquidity. And as those start to materialize, now we can focus on eliminating the debt so that people can move through life without this drag to their finances. So Wealth Steps was born from something called the living balance sheet, which has been around for over a decade and has several 100,000 clients nationwide that, having moved through this exact process, would tell you that they feel more secure and more confident around their financial future, with clarity around where they are, what they're doing, and why they're doing it, and most importantly, seeing results from it. We know that what financial balance looks like, and people experience it beautifully throughout this process. So when you sponsor WealthSteps Financial Education Program at no cost to you, you'll be able to offer each of your employees their own personal advisor and a private, secure website that allows them to put all of the pieces of their own financial picture in one place. The website experience allows us to have unlimited capacity so that no matter how big the company becomes or how many employees you someday hire, you'll have the ability to offer this and scale it without any disruption to your day-to-day business affairs. Your employees are in charge and are led through simple do-it-yourself financial exercises as they learn each of the 4 steps. We have activities that allow participants to enter their own financial information and immediately be scored between optimal, moderate, and warning. And they're walked through the step-by-step process that allows for discovery, education, and action, most important part there, to occur. And it exposes them to a general understanding of each of these 4 steps. So in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, employees are able to see at a glance where they're doing well financially and where they can improve. And it's all beautifully displayed, as you can see, all private and all secure. So how do we get this to you and your employees? Well, it starts with a series of customizable live or virtual educational events where employees can register, and I walk them through either an overview or deep dive of one of the 4 steps. We can also meet and lead employees on an individual basis, and we can even offer all of the same services in Spanish. This way, when they use their WealthSteps website and meet with an advisor, they've got a solid foundation and understanding of what they're doing and why it's important. So this is not just a lunch and learn that people participate in and go back to their previous method of financial decision making. I want to share just the changes that WealthSteps triggers for my clients. For example, when I meet people, the vast majority have tremendous problems with their insurance portfolios, right? They rely on self-insurance, so just kind of paying with things as they arise, or they might only buy insurance based on how much they think that they need, with no real structure around that number. So after WealthSteps, these problems that they had are replaced by high levels of confidence and a sense of pride, having an insurance portfolio that has maximum protection in all areas. So that whether they're driving to work and slide through an intersection and injure another driver, they're taken care of. Or as breadwinners, their most important asset is their ability to earn an income over time. And if something happens that threatens this, they're taken care of. The education really allows them to properly insure against death, disability, and other, so that if the biggest financial threat that they ever face in their lives does occur, their life and their family's lifestyle are protected. So everyone wants to know about wealth building, but again, we start with savings. So we see people that are not saving or save at a dangerously low level. The national average is actually between 3 and 5% of annual income. So if you just take a moment and think about what between 3 and 5% of your income actually is, and how that would compound over time, it's really just not enough. And they really haven't been educated on what the real cost of living is or what it means. And it's not just taxes and inflation that create an obstacle for savings, right? It's also new inventions that we can't live without, like, Apple Watches and laptops, or things that we've already bought that wear out and have to be replaced, like cars or household appliances. And it's just this human instinct of wanting to have a better life today than we did yesterday. But when they're saving better, people come to work feeling better. They're lowering their risk, and they're building a defense against the real cost of living, and they're progressing. So next, we attack what we see, which is balance sheets that are highly liquid. Money is locked up with penalties and taxes in place so that if life does change its mind, it's very difficult to respond. And we're able to exchange low liquidity for a more balanced approach, where they're able to identify each of the things that they own by their liquidity status and make sure that they can move through time with a balance sheet that is growing in their best interest. When it comes to debt, most people struggle with managing it, right? Their cars are too new, homes are too big, or perhaps too many trips to the mall. And there's just generally, generally we just see people overextended. So we give a cash flow management structure that allows people to see and build a step-by-step approach to how monthly income should be dispersed. So how big a mortgage payment should be, how to unwind so that you have an improved financial picture to look forward to. And if you have credit card or student loan debt, you're able to understand what's the best way to attack that while also implementing steps 1, 2, and 3. Again, paying ourselves first, that is the key. So if all of your employees use 12 steps, they would have maximum protection in all areas, be on their way to becoming world-class savers with balanced assets, having moved out of debt. Obviously, there are benefits to this, and it's one of these great opportunities where the company and their employees stand to gain a great deal. So on the company end, this is your program, right? You are the hero here, and our system allows you to offer this to all employees without getting in the way of operations at no cost to you or the employee. Ultimately, we become kind of like a part of the family. So we're like your own special department. And employees look forward to us coming back because they see how much we enrich their lives. As for employee benefits, they can take advantage of professional expertise, getting guidance on their personal financial journey. One-on-one, they can have individualized consultations in English or Spanish. And we give them private, secure websites that they can use as a tracking device to watch their progress over time. They experience positive results that are very simple to achieve when done in the correct order. And people are just generally happier and have less stress because their finances are in order. They're able to come to work with more energy and full of appreciation for the fact that you sponsored such a helpful program for them. So it's been a real privilege to be here. And as I said before, my roots are in the hospitality industry. And I know the frustrations for all levels of employees, which is why I'm so excited to be able to help you help them do better. I want to thank you all for your time and the opportunity to share, because I think that you're entitled to know. And I think that the hospitality industry is entitled to the same benefits and information as anyone else. So at this point, we can open it up for questions.
Thank you, Olivia. That was a wonderful presentation. Now, I did see you mentioned that it's at no cost to the employer to offer this to the employee. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Correct.
So you just come in and you would be an additional branch of course, whatever company or business establishment you come to.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's basically, I mean, you can think of it as having, a financial professional on staff. Okay. Is how I've seen different companies and firms position us.
So I did see how you can assist someone if they're trying to figure out how to balance their income in terms of their monthly expenditures.
Exactly. Yeah. So budgeting is a huge thing. Again, our focus first is on savings. So we coach on ways that we can save no matter what the income is. So the beauty of this is that you don't need to be making $150,000 a year to save. It can be systematic and automatic at any income point.
Okay. Yeah, that's very useful. I mean, everyone, of course, doesn't make the same amount, but a lot of us, and when I say a lot of us, I'm probably referring to me. I have a car payment, a newer vehicle, and it's quite hefty, and the student loan bill is quite hefty, and I can only imagine some individuals have childcare and other expenses that do want to also save.
Yeah, so every situation is unique, and we're not talking about an overnight change here either. It's just small steps towards a better financial future is what we're looking to have conversations around.
Well, thank you. Can you tell everyone how you can be reached?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me would be probably by email or phone. I did have those posted there, but we can also I'll also be sending out an email to everyone that participated just to touch base.
Well, thank you, Olivia, and I appreciate you coming on and telling our members how they can financially plan in the hospitality industry for their future and for what they're going through currently.
Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Tal.